Welcome to another Sip and Share for the Origin Woman Network. I am absolutely delighted to be chatting to Amanda Meryle from Amanda Meryle Photography today, who has been in the Origin Woman Network probably from the very early days, I believe, has completed a round of the bar series with us. Super pumped to have you here. Hello, my love.
Hello, Kath. I'm so glad to be here. And yes, I've just done my second round of the bar.
You have, absolutely, and graduated with honours, I would say.
Yes.
Has got so much to offer. Honestly, I can't wait to talk about your story from the beginning right through to where we are now. What I love most about your business journey is that you've absolutely embodied everything that you talk about in your own business, and this is something that I think is kind of underrated in business, is where we kind of like, why isn't the business working? It's like, well, are you actually putting your money where your mouth is? If you talk about empowering women, are you showing up as an empowered woman? If you're talking about finding it difficult to make sales, are you actually biting the bullet and picking up the phone yourself? Like, it's sort of whatever you're coaching, whatever you're leaning into in your business, if you're not really owning it yourself, that energetic lack of congruence really shows up. But not with you, because I know that there's been some things that you've had to overcome over the last couple of years. We're going to get into all of that shortly to really step into the full version of who you are in business today, which Mira and I are both so proud of. But I wanted to go back because I did ask you a few questions in the lead up to this interview. And so I want to go back and ask you what actually inspired you to get into business, because I actually didn't know this about you, and it was very moving to read. So I'd love you to tell us what inspired you to get into business.
Yeah, so I've always been involved in business, and I've been involved in my husband's business. But when we were trying to have a baby, well, quite a few years ago now, because my daughter's just turned 12,
Yes.
I pretty much had given up on the whole thing, and I just needed a new project. I needed something to focus on myself, and I needed something different for myself. And it was a year or so after my mum had died, and my sister and I went through so many photos, looking for photos of her when we were young, and there were not many photos of her with us when we were little. And, combine that, I love photography. And I was just like, you know what, this is what I have to do. I have to start a business where I'm getting mums in the photos, getting women in the photos for themselves. So
And so,
mums in their photos,
yeah,
portrait
did it
photos.
start with a different iteration? Because you're in personal brand photography now. So did it start with a family portrait kind of vibe, did it?
Totally started with, but still with that reason for mums. It was all about women.
Yeah.
Mums, women in photos. Yeah, so that's how I started.
Yeah.
And then I gradually pivoted as I went. Like I started asking me, oh, do you do headshots as well? And I'm like, yeah, I could do headshots as well. And then I've got a business background. I've worked in business for a very long time, business marketing. I love to learn. I love all new things. I love being creative. I just love getting things started and getting things out there. So as I started doing headshots and talking more about business stuff, I was like, oh, there's actually such a thing as business photography, personal branding. I'd never thought about that before. So I started following a couple of other photographers who were doing it. And it wasn't such a big thing when I started. Yeah, so I found a photographer who was doing it in Queensland who I really loved. And I did a little bit of mentoring with her. And I actually did my first branding shoot with her myself, got photographed. And that was my lead into personal branding and all business photography, which is
Isn't it how like business starts? We work a lot with women who, are in startup phase, and they come in with an idea of how it has to be. We get all head up about building out all of the systems and processes about this product or service that you're going to do and have. And really, it's such a nebulous beast business. You jump into it thinking it's going to be one way, and then before you know it, the scope creeps kind of over here, but then you find your spot, and so what was that sort of journey like for you, testing and trying different things? Maybe just sort of talk us through, what were you consciously doing it, were you unconsciously doing it, how were you feeling mentally, emotionally while you went through that journey of testing stuff out, that testing phase? How did that affect you?
Well, I feel like all parts of my journey is a bit of a testing phase. Even now, because I love new things, I've always been like that. Even when I started in families and getting mums into the photos, I did quite a bit of maternity photography.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm going to be a newborn photographer. Anyway, I went out and bought all the newborn stuff. And, this is just an example of testing and being able to pivot. And I did a newborn photo shoot for a friend's baby, and it was lovely, and the photos were quite good, and we did some really fun ones. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I can't do this. Let's just get back on track of getting women in the photos.
Yeah.
That's been my journey the whole time. Like, a lot of it's just gradually happened. It's just evolved as I've gone. People have wanted different things. People have asked me for different things.
Mm,
And I have a love for business. So
mm,
when I started doing more headshots, and then my brother-in-law was in real estate, so his real estate agency asked me to do their headshots and some team shots and things for them when I was first starting out in that kind of photography. And I was just like, this is what I love. Like, this is
yeah.
really what I love. I'm really drawn to getting women still into the photos.
Yeah.
So I work with a lot of women in my business,
Yeah.
particularly for branding shoots. I
Yeah.
work with quite a few men for headshots and things. So not that I don't want to work with men, but
Yeah.
women is my passion, because women, as women, and I know this myself, like when I first started in my business, I did not show up in my business. I was talking the talk, but I wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. So
Yeah.
that was something I had to overcome. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so you've said you've had a lot of experience in business and that you worked in your husband's business. And I guess I got to know you a couple of years ago when you were mostly working in your husband's business. And I remember one of our first conversations at the bar was very much, I hope this is cool to say, but someone that was quite reserved, someone that wasn't really, certainly not speaking out at the bar event, sort of, if anything, hiding into the corner. A lot of self-judgment, a lot of self-criticism about whether you could actually be successful in business on your own, whether you were allowed to allow yourself to really step into business, and whether your business was allowed to be as important as your husband's. I'd love to just for you to touch on, like, how was that part of your life? Like, what was going on for you in that period of time that you think other women might relate to?
When my husband started his business, like, I remember, I was always supportive in that role, and I'm very much into business. So I was very much involved in it as well. But, he went out and he bought business cards and he bought flyers and he got his website done and he did everything like that. When
Mm.
I started my business, I came into it from a totally different thing. It was like I was still working part-time. I was also working in my husband's business, helping him. And I was just like, I don't know if I can spend this money. This is family money. This is money that we could use for different things. And my business was more like a little hobby on the side. So it took me quite a while to be like, you know what? Why am I doing that? Why is he more important than I am? And he didn't think that. That was
No.
totally me. That was my thing. And I think as women, we tend to be brought up that, we're the nurturers, we're the supporters, we're the caregivers. And we tend to get ourselves stuck in that supporting role and not be able to get out there. And
Yeah.
that was definitely my experience. And I had to really overcome that whole thing about showing up, about investing in myself, about
Mm.
taking myself really seriously.
So take us on that journey. Like, what was that first little, I imagine if it's sort of like this really tightly knitted kind of self-image that you had going on of being the nurturer, not being allowed to do that. What was the first thread that you pulled to sort of like start to pull apart that image and remake it?
Well, I think part of that came from the women that I was helping, because I could see for them that they shouldn't be hiding, that
Mm.
they should be out there.
Yeah.
And that was the first thread of like, well, hang on, why am I hiding? Why am I not out there? And then, of course, I joined the Origin Woman Network,
Mm.
and, you and Mira was like, why are you hiding? Why aren't you out there?
Yeah.
And I've also joined some other networking groups and had some pushes from some of those people along the way as well. Pushes into actually, speaking and standing up in front of people and talking to myself. Because again, like you said about me being reserved before, I consider myself quite shy and reserved. I'm
Mm.
not outgoing in a group setting. I can be outgoing in different situations, but not in a group setting. So I tend to sit back and listen. And I do like to listen because I like to be the observer and see what's going on. And I love to help everyone else feel seen and heard.
Mm.
So I just had to turn that around and make that about I needed to be seen and heard so that I could help more women be seen and heard.
People were saying that to you, but what was really the moment where you took the bull by the horns with that? Because I know, we can go on and on with this inner self talk, this inner self critic about things, but there's always a breaking point. There's always something that happens where you snap and go, actually, now's the time, I'm claiming it. Was there a moment for you?
I don't think there was one particular moment. I think it was just a lot of moments that
Yeah.
led up to that thing. It was all those things, people telling me that, the Origin Women Network, that joining the bar definitely helped, but also
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
clients telling me how much I could help them made me realize that if I didn't get myself out there, that I wasn't going to be able to help as many people as I wanted.
Yeah, so I love that because that's again, often we need in business, particularly as women, to get over that imposter syndrome, the proof that we are of value, that
Mm.
proof that this time that I'm investing is absolutely worth it. And we just really want those kind of visible runs on the board, almost like you say, our clients selling it back to us, like we're that much value, you know. And if you sit and read them and your testimonials and think, oh God, I actually am doing something here, and it is of such service and impact that it's sort of like wrong of me to not be doing more of it, you know, and putting more of it out
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Exactly. And the other factor that really came into it for me is showing my daughter that we should respect ourselves and that we need to actually stand up and do what we want for ourselves as well. As she's gotten older, I've realized that I need to teach her that, because I came from a point of view where I was shy and quiet and I didn't necessarily stand up for myself. And I didn't want that for her. I wanted
Yeah.
to show her that you can be whatever you want, do whatever you want.
And what an amazing job you've done of that. I don't think that anyone can fully comprehend unless they went down the Amanda Meryle rabbit hole on your social media to work this out. But, you know, we've had your daughter at some of our events running a stall. You're probably wearing her earrings right now, I'm
I
sure.
am, yep.
And so she's a crafty little thing, but she's also an entrepreneurial little thing. At one event, I bought some earrings from her and she came up to me afterwards and said, oh, look, now I've forgotten to give you a lovely bag to put them in. Are they a gift? You know, and I just thought, what a little saleswoman, you know, like, let me just add that little bonus in there, you know, and I've given gifts of her earrings to my friends and they absolutely love them. So, but what I don't know that you know is how much of a role model and ambassador you've become in the Origin Woman Network, which at the time of this recording is, you know, 550 women in there coming to multiple events throughout the year. But how much just by you showing up in that group over and over again, showing up at the coffee catch-ups, at the networking events, and also promoting your daughter, you're promoting your own personal brand of being a woman that empowers women. And I just think it's so extraordinary. Like, I don't know that I can quite put into words what a role model you've become and a leader that you've become in your own little legend lunchbox kind of thing over here, you know, in that space. Like, really, I can see a whole nother career happening that might branch off from you coaching your daughter through getting her own business up and running and out there. So I know that things weren't always super easy getting started in your business, and it sounds like when your daughter was born there were some troubles early on in the piece that made you keep having these setbacks over and over. And then we've got to the point where you've really claimed your space after you've you know, kind of recognized that your business is no longer a hobby and that it is something that can actually provide for the family. Tell us, like, where are we sort of heading to in business now? Like, what's the next 6-12 months look like in the Amanda Meryle photography world?
Yeah, so I mean, there's quite a lot of facets to my business. So photography is my core business, personal branding, and the thing I love the most is helping women show up. So I'm very much into content sessions. So
Yeah.
photos for content, photos for website. And in line with that, I run social media content workshops, which came about because my clients were like, now what do we do with our photos? Or they post all their photos at once. So they were either too scared to post any photos because they're like, oh, what will people think? I love them, but what will people think when I start posting my photos of me?
Wow.
And
We really have so many ways to screw ourselves, don't we?
we certainly do. And I knew that feeling as well myself. I had to overcome that myself as well. You know, you look at my social media feed now, and my face is there. And that came about too because my clients were like, they come to a photo shoot with me and it's like, they would say to me, oh, this is so much fun. You're so much fun in on photo shoots. You make it so much fun. You make us feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that before I came. Like, you need to show more of that on your social media. So that's what I had to start doing myself. And then it was like, well, this is what other people need to do as well.
Yeah.
And that's where I started teaching social media content workshops so that people know what to do with their photos, know what to post, know how to share more of themselves, because, you know, it's about us connecting with our audience, isn't it? It's connecting with
Absolutely,
people.
absolutely. Having your face out there, absolutely. And the other point that I love that you kind of subtly made just then was that, your clients are such a gold mine of market research, them telling you what to do. Listen, I have this over and over with my clients that I work with in personal branding and marketing space as well, is I just don't know what to post on social media. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to put in this service. I don't know what offering to create. And I'm like, babes, the gold is inside your client's head. You just have to get it out. You've done an amazing job of like listening and implementing what your clients are actually telling you to do, which has actually turned your business around, like certainly
Yeah.
from the outside, it looks like anyway.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally true. I mean, once I started really listening to what my clients were asking and what they were struggling with, it made such a difference in what I'm offering and what I'm doing. And I'm still, I'm still pivoting and changing and offering extra things in that.
Yeah.
The next few months, I'll be offering more strategy sessions one-on-one, because I get a
Yep.
lot of people coming to my workshops and they love the system that I'm teaching, but they
Yeah.
want more one-on-one help in actually coming up with what they're posting and how they're using their photos and getting ideas. Also offering a bit more video in my photo sessions, because
Yep.
people want reels, like the B-roll, behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
to be able to use in their content. So I'll
Great.
be really focusing on that in the next few months, that visual stuff that people
I
need.
love that. And so how are you going to deliver that? Is that going to be like a kind of one-on-one VIP day kind of thing, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, so it'll be, I'll probably run a few of them, VIP days, and there'll be one-on-one sessions with me. So pretty much the same as my photo sessions, but we'll do part photos, part videos. And most of that will be focused in my studio, because I find that it's easy. I've got a clean setup so that people don't have to worry about all the junk in their background if I'm going to their house, because a lot of my clients work from home or work from a very small space,
Yes.
or a temporary space. So I find that if they come here, they can bring their props, they can bring it, they can make the space personal.
Yes.
But we've got that beautiful light, and we've got space to work with. So
Yeah.
I'll be having days offering that, where you come, you'll get photos, you'll get video in it, and then you'll also get some education and ideas from me of how to use those videos to
I
put
love
into
it.
your content.
And then the strategy side of that, is that going to be a separate offering to that kind of one-on-one day?
That will be a separate offering. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And that's just like what, some coaching, or how does that look like?
Yeah, so that'll be pretty much either you can come into my studio and sit with me in person, because
Yep.
a lot of my clients like in person,
Yes.
and have a couple with me and we can go through it. Or you can jump on Zoom, and beforehand, I'll have looked at your website and your socials, and we will just go through what's missing off there. If you've already had photos with me, we'll go through how to use them. If you haven't, we might make a list of what you do need, what reels you need, what video you need, and we'll just really make a bit of a strategy of what you need and how to get there.
I love it. Gosh, I'm already thinking, gee, I might need that. It sounds amazing. And so tell me, what type of women do you work best with? Like, who, you said some of most of your clients like one-on-one in person. Who are these women?
So most of my clients are a bit like me, really.
Yeah.
For 40, 45 plus. I'm 53, so getting up there. But they're not necessarily great with technology. They've grown up not being on selfies and,
Yeah.
showing lots of photos of themselves. So they're not as comfortable with that as younger people are.
Mm.
And most of them have got they're sole traders, or they've got a small business with a couple of people on their team,
Mm.
and they are working alone. So that strategy really helps them as well. My content workshops really help them, because they come along and they meet other people. They work together in a setting where there's different people.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're the women I generally will be working with. Lots of different types of businesses.
Yeah.
But it's just that core thing of they're working alone. They don't love technology.
And I love what you put that point that you really pointed out, that they didn't grow up taking selfies of themselves. And I do really think that our age group, I'm 45, is just, I mean, I'm just not that excited about seeing myself on social media, particularly as we hit perimenopause, like it doesn't look as attractive as it used to.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
it's hard to get yourself out from behind the lens. But this is the reality is this is the industry that we're operating in. This is the economic climate that we're operating in. This is how it all works these days. And so, you know, if you aren't doing it, then you're not being seen, and you need another strategy if you're not going to be being seen. If you've got a one-on-one business where you are the business and that is what they're buying, then absolutely they need their face on social media. So I love that you've started in photography, but really now, and through the lens of that purpose, which I know that you really refined in the first month of the bar as well, in our purpose month, stepping back in and really feeling and reconnecting to that purpose of having women in front of the camera. Now you're creating these service offerings that are extensions to that, you know, that are overcoming all the objections to getting those photos out of the Google Drive or Dropbox file that they got given to them in, and actually out into the ether, you know, doing the heavy lifting for people, you know. So I'm super proud of you and how far you've come. Is there anything that you would like to tell us that you've got coming up in the near future that people can register for, how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I've got my next content workshop is coming up on the 1st of August. So if anyone wants to join that or find out more about that, let me know.
Awesome.
The content sessions, the VIP days that I've just been talking about, they're also coming up. So yeah, just get in touch with me. Instagram is a great way to follow me because that's where I put most of my things, on Instagram.
Great.
So
we will pop the link in the show notes of this episode. So Instagram's a good way for everybody to follow you. And we've also got you becoming one of our event photographers at the Amplify event coming up at the Nillumbik Reception Centre on the 7th of August. Super, super grateful for your time to come and take social media images of some of the participants at the event if they get in and line up quick enough. So very grateful for you sponsoring that event as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed being on our sipping chair, and we will speak again soon. Thanks, Amanda.
thank you so much for having me, Kath.
No problems.